What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla stock, what's going on with SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers, and break down how the technicals are looking so far. But before I break anything down about this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. The offer ends in just 7 days, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with the market. We're seeing the bears finally stepping in, and they're finally getting an edge over the bulls as the market got a rejection of some key resistance. So what's going on with Tesla? What's going on with SPY? We had some very interesting volatility. So what ended up happening was we had Jerome Powell giving his speech. He didn't really say anything that was too crazy, too significant. He said a few things about the economy, but they were very minor. And the market kind of popped in the morning, went a little bit higher, and we ended up reaching 438 on SPY. But I called out yesterday that that's a very tight resistance and to be very careful because we could always reject off there, as historically that's what tends to happen. So that's exactly what ended up happening. As soon as we hit the 438 area, SPY rejected and Tesla followed the trend, and the market started to see some red a little bit after the speech was said. It started off very choppy. It was very slow in the beginning, but then the bears are just slowly bringing the market lower and lower. We also had the 17-week bill auction come in lower than the previous report, which led to this isn't actually the worst for the markets, but it's still was followed by a sell-off. Now we have the 10-year notes coming out. It should be coming out very, very soon. We have a couple more Fed speakers, but nothing else that's too crazy. Another note is Jerome Powell speaks again tomorrow at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll be watching to see what this guy has to say again. And besides that, that's pretty much it for now when it comes to economic reports. The question now is, how on earth are technicals looking? And the answer is they're favoring the bears. So looking at SPY to start off, we have a bearish cross in the PPO on the 4-hour time frame. If you look at the daily chart, you're going to notice that SPY is looking a bit more bearish, getting this rejection off this bearish divergence, and we're starting to see the MACD curling a little bit. If we get a close here, and we're starting to see bearish momentum building. And once again, on the 4-hour, we're looking more bearish. It looks like this thing is going to be heading down towards 433. That is the target on the 4-hour, but we need to be watching for 435 to break for confirmation. So if we break and hold below 435, I'm anticipating the 433s are coming. But just to be safe, make sure you watch 435 as support. The 30-minute looks more bearish as well, and the same thing is going on Tesla. The 30 minutes looking very bearish. So is the 4-hour time frame, and we're approaching our support very close to 217 at the 50 EMA on Tesla. So the market's looking weaker. We're going to be breaking down some levels now, and we are starting to see bearish signals developing. On Tesla, we're going to be watching this support. I mean, we technically had support at 218, but I think we're on the verge of breaking it. So this 218 area has access support for Tesla. If we end up losing this, anticipate Tesla's going to come down towards 217 flats to 216.8. We tend to see a lot of chop in that area. If Tesla loses this support, it's going to come all the way down to 215 to 214. If we lose 214, we're going to turn even more bearish, and Tesla's going to start sinking to the 212s, 208, and those much lower levels. All right, so that's going to be an even bigger bearish confirmation if we do break below 214. For resistance, we're going to be watching. Right now, there's a very minor amount of resistance at 218.75 around there. And then above this, we have this 220 area as key resistance, 221.25, 222.5. Then we have 224 above that. If anything, it is still favoring the bears a bit more as Tesla's downtrending. We're starting to see some buyers trying to defend 218, but it's still looking weaker, and the odds do favor it coming down later on. Anyways, so don't necessarily turn way too bullish or way too bearish. Wait and see if we break particular levels for confirmations. The odds do favor that happening eventually, and I still lean in favor of the bears a bit because the market is due for a pullback. Same thing on SPY. Looking at SPY, we have some technicals looking a little bearish on the bigger time frames. On SPY, we're going to be watching resistance right over here around this. First off, we have this 435.6 area to 435.8 area acting as resistance. And above that, we have 436, 436.5. Then we have like 437.5 to 438 after that, and 438 is very tight resistance. For support, we're going to be watching 435 flat, this 435 to 435.25 area, because that's where we, excuse me, this is where we had this channel kind of like continuing. And if we lose 435, I expect it to come down towards 433.5. I think that's going to be our next target if we end up breaking below 435. That's going to be your confirmation of more bearish activity. We're not there yet, but I do believe that there's a good chance of that happening looking at the bigger time frames. And I think that there's going to be some downside very soon. If we lose 433.5, anticipate it's going to come down to 430. I think the odds favor this thing kind of like chopping a little bit, but eventually trying to make its way down even lower. It just needs a little bit more time. On the QQQ, this is also looking a bit more bearish. Now, it's trying to defend the area it's currently in. We're going to be watching this chop zone around the 372 range. Watch for resistance at 372.65, 373.5, and then 374. And watch the support at 371 and then 370.5 below that. If we lose 370.5, we're going to turn even more bearish, and I think we're going to be heading towards 369. But right now, we're seeing some buyers trying to defend in this 372 zone. I don't think they're going to launch it back up much higher. I think that eventually the bears will have the edge, and the market's due to pull back very soon. On Nvidia, we saw something very similar develop. Nvidia tried to push for this 465 to 466 area. We got a rejection off of that, so we were anticipating it could pop a little bit more. But I told you to watch this resistance, and so far we're starting to see Nvidia reject off of it. So we're going to be watching support. We have some support right here at 463 flat. If we lose this, you're going to be watching 461.5 around that area. This is where we have this wick. If it loses that, I anticipate it's going to come all the way down towards 459 to 458. And if we lose that, we're going to start sinking down for 455, 451 and beyond. I think the odds favor a little bit of downside since we had a bearish divergence, and we could see Nvidia sink a bit looking at this current trend. So just be very careful. I don't think it's going to sink super hard immediately. I just think that it's kind of shopping and shuffling around this area for a bit. But I think that there is a good chance it's going to cool off a bit looking at how overbought it is and the 4-hour PPO is about to cross. On the 30 minutes time frame, Nvidia is starting to weaken a little bit as well. You want to see this thing break below 461 first at the 20 EMA to retest the 50 EMA at 459. But I think that the odds favor this thing cooling off eventually. It just needs a little bit more time. Besides that, we also have Aapl stock, and Aapl is once again looking quite interesting. It's just barely at resistance. We had resistance at 183.5 and rejected. Now we're just trying to defend 182. It's just barely holding 182 for now, but we're going to be watching to see if this holds. So it made a nice move to the upside. It was just continuing to push and push and push, hitting this resistance. We started to see Aapl break below this temporarily for today. So we had this support that was holding it up. It's starting to break below it. We're getting a back test right now. We're going to be watching if Aapl could close and hold 182. If we fail to do so, I anticipate Aapl is going to sink even lower, and we could get very close to 180, which could drag the market down. So watch 182 as key support. If we lose it, I anticipate we're going to be heading for 180 on Aapl, which is going to help the NASDAQ cool off a bit alongside the QQQ, and this could help, the SQQQ pump a bit. So we're going to be watching this level. We're going to be seeing how Aapl ends up doing here. It is due to pull back a bit after so much pumping. I would like to see it retest 180, and this could help the market cool off a little bit more. So make sure you watch these levels carefully. Just know that the market has potential for downside. And even though the market's kind of shuffling around these areas, there is still a risk of it. When you look at the VIX, for example, the VIX had a bullish divergence that finally started to play out. And the VIX looks like it's going to try to break this resistance here. So we have this 15 area. If it breaks this 15.3, could be coming because the market may cool off a bit more, which is going to help this VIX continue higher. Also, the VIX is curling on the 4-hour. As long as we maintain these levels, start pushing a bit, we could see this cross, and this could lead to even more upside for the VIX as the market potentially cools off. So there's a risk of the market cooling off even more. I know that we're seeing buyers trying to defend, but make sure you watch supports for those confirmations of any sort of drops and such. And just be patient. Just know that the bears have the edge right now, and watch supports very, very carefully. All right, guys, that's it for now. Thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. Thank you, and peace out.